Alright, what is going on YouTube? So for today's video, I actually wanted to talk about the possibility of the YuYu Hakusho live action series from Netflix getting a season 2. You know, it's been out for a week now. I think the majority of people that cared about it have formulated their opinions and expressed them. And all in all, I think the general reception of the 5 episodes that we got isn't as bad as it could have been. You know, it's not as bad as per se the Netflix live action movie of Death Note that we got back in 2017. But yeah, I got this article pulled up here talking about Yu Yu Hakusho's live action debut and how it did on the TV rankings. So yeah, it says here, Netflix announced on Thursday that the live action series based on Yoshihiro Togashi's Yu Yu Hakusho manga has ranked #1 on Netflix's global non-English language rankings for its first week. The series had 7.7 million total views with 32.1 million hours viewed and an average runtime of 4 hours and 11 minutes. During the period of December 11th through the 17th, the show ranked in the top 10 in 76 countries and it ranked #1 in 7 of them. It ranked #5 in the US. So I think that's pretty good. My first initial reaction to this is that it reminds me of the time when the Death Note live action Netflix movie came out. You know, it's funny because I just mentioned Death Note, right? But when the Death Note movie came out in 2017, everybody was talking about it. A lot of people were watching it. And even though a lot of people hated that movie or didn't like it, didn't like the adaptation, it got a lot of views. I remember everyone was talking about it, everyone was watching it. And that was one of the things that I actually loved about that movie coming out, is that it made Death Note relevant again. You know, Death Note, one of my favorite anime of all time. Like, it is now relevant again. People are talking about it. People that didn't know about Death Note now are discovering it on Netflix. And that was like the best thing for me because I love the series so much. And I think now, you know, Death Note is definitely regarded as one of the GOATs. But back then, you know, anime still wasn't super popular or super mainstream. So everyone wasn't on the anime wave yet. And while I still think Death Note was regarded as one of the GOATs back then, it still wasn't relevant because it already finished so long ago. So when that movie came out, it made Death Note relevant again, and that made me happy because I love Death Note. But yeah, despite the adaptation's success or failure of the Death Note 2017 film, everybody was talking about it. Everyone was watching it. You could say it was a failure in terms of the critiques, but in terms of the popularity, it was a success. And that's why it got renewed for a second film, a sequel film, very shortly after. Like, extremely shortly after it got greenlit for a sequel film. And I remember I was waiting on any type of news for when the sequel film would happen. You know, Adam Wingard, who was the director of that film, started working on the Godzilla movies, or the Godzilla vs. Kong movie. And so it kind of seemed like we weren't going to get any news on if he's going to return as director, and if he is, we weren't going to get any news on it until after he's finished with that movie and whatever else he has in store. But now it seems like the Death Note sequel film is turning into the Death Note live action series that they're going for again with the creators of Stranger Things. But what does this have to do with Yu Yu Hakusho? Well, the fact that Death Note had probably a worse reception than Yu Yu Hakusho in its debut in terms of people's critiques and whether they liked it or didn't like it, and it still got renewed for a sequel film very shortly after, I think alludes to the high probability that Yu Yu Hakusho live action will get a season 2, or at least will get greenlit for a season 2. Because at the very least, I feel like people enjoyed the Yu Yu Hakusho live action more than they did the Death Note film. And if the numbers are showing that, you know, people are watching this, people are interested, with this adaptation not even being America centered or America based, something they made in Japan, and for it to do like this well, or at least get these numbers, that should tell them, or at least tell Netflix something, like, you know, hey, people are interested in this. And after the success of One Piece, and with Yu Yu Hakusho at least putting up the numbers, also combined with the already interest that Netflix has in terms of making anime live action and making more projects that are adapting popular anime, I think it's fair to say that a Yu Yu Hakusho season 2 is very likely, at least to be greenlit. Will it actually get made, or will it end up in limbo like a lot of other projects have ended up in? That's a whole different story. But I do think Yu Yu Hakusho live action is very likely to get a season 2. Maybe not extremely likely, but I think more likely than people would initially think. Now, if they make a season 2, what are some of my hopes and expectations? That's a different story. But I'm curious to know what you guys think about all this. Let me know in the comments below. Please leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. That helps me out a ton. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll see y'all in the next video.